This episode is brought to you by SPI Logistics, the premier freight agent logistics firm in North America. For over 40 years, SPI has been diligently building the most successful freight agent network to provide first-class relationships for our shippers, receivers, and carrier partners. We are more than another transportation network. We are a dedicated team of professionals united by one singular purpose, and that is to expedite our agents' success. All of our agents are set up for success on day one, as they are provided with a full suite of support staff that is ready to assist them with everything from after-hours emergencies to financial and administrative needs on a no-fee basis. This way, you can focus on continuing to grow your business. There is no financial risk to start, and you have the ability to earn up to 75% in commissions. If you are looking to take control of your financial future and build your business with the backing of one of the most successful logistics firms in North America, visit www.spi3pl.com to learn more. Do me a favor and let them know that the Freight Coach sent you.
What is up, ladies and gentlemen? We are back. We are live. It is the Freight Coach Podcast, the top podcast in transportation, coming to you guys every single weekday, 8:30 a.m. Pacific, 10:30 Central, to break down some industry headlines. But most importantly, you guys provide some actual insight into what you can do with all of this information. If this is your first time tuning in, welcome. This is the real side of freight, ladies and gentlemen. And I say that before every single show. And what I mean by that is I only speak with transportation professionals, because at the end of the day, I want to talk to the right individuals who have done what you're looking to do or who are currently doing what you're trying to achieve, so you can take that information, apply it, utilize it, and see a meaningful difference in your business and your life. Happy Wednesday, everybody. I got a very special guest for you guys here today. We're going to be talking about all things refrigerated freight. He's going to be helping me out with the lane analysis today as well, because I like to have people who actually move that freight come on and talk about that as well and how they assess lanes out there. So I have my good friend, Sonny Sharma, back on the show. Sonny, thank you so much for taking the time to join me this morning.
Thank you for having me, and good morning.
Nah, man, I'm ready for it. Dude, it's been interesting here these last couple of weeks, especially in your state of California, in regards to, you can definitely tell what areas of the country were hit the most by fuel. And obviously California is our top of the list out there, man. So what's been new?
Interesting is an understatement. When it first happened, I mean, obviously you and I have been doing this long enough, and all your listeners have been doing it long enough. I started the conversations with customers well in advance, saying, "Hey, something's going to happen. It's going to happen overnight," which it did.
Yeah,
and it goes back to communication, like like you talk about. You and I have always had these discussions, and the lane we're going to talk about today is a lane that we run. And I went to that customer, so I'll use that lane as an example. I said, "Hey, here's what I see coming," and it happened within 48 hours of that conversation. And they did not want to budge at the beginning.
Yeah.
And I pretty much was told, "Well, if you're going to push on this or you want to talk about this, we've been doing business for so long, but there's other people out there." I said, "Okay." Next thing I know, my guy called me and goes, "Well, I guess you're not the only one." So I just said, and the conversations and the way I've started the conversations with all my customers is that, "Hey, yes, you guys like flat rates, which a flat rate includes a little bit of fuel. Can we tack on a fuel surcharge that is adjustable according to where fuel goes? And when it comes back down, if it comes back down, my crystal ball is foggy, but I'm going to predict September, October, maybe. We can make adjustments then, or we can go back, or however it works out." And I'm going to say almost all of our customers have understood. They've come back and said, "Okay, you tell us what your carriers are looking for or what you feel is right." And they've come back with their rates. Obviously, they want to negotiate. And they're not far off. If you don't do it and you're willing to just say, I mean, obviously, I've shipped loads at a loss. I'm not gonna say, "Oh, I can't do this contracted load because the rates are way up."
Yeah.
Because when people drop loads on my customers, I go chase them.
Yeah.
If you're in this industry and not willing to take a loss on a load or two, then what are you doing?
Yeah. No.
And this lane that you're going to pull up here is one of those lanes that
Yeah. So let's jump into it. So this lane, you know, and again, you guys, it's This Week in Freight is powered by my friends over at DAT. You guys, we just break down lanes out there to show you guys how to accurately read a freight market, because there's a lot of stuff that goes into this, you guys. Rates increase, decrease, tender, all of this stuff happens, but there's a pattern that goes on out here. And I want you guys to identify patterns. That's how I personally bid all of my freight when I'm going out there. I have spot market customers. I also have RFP contract customers, and I apply the exact same strategy because I like to deliver consistency to both. And this one is going to be, it's a refrigerated freight. Again, these are all viewer submitted. So if you want your lane broken down on the show, you guys, I need you to email my team, podcast@thefreightcoach.com. I just need a shipper city, a delivery city, and the trailer type. That's it. I don't need any more details than that. This one is Sonny's backyard here, and this is Fresno, California, going to Boise, Idaho. And this is, you know, it's in refrigerated out here, 720 miles. All right. And that is, to me, that's one of the bigger indicators I pay attention to when I'm bidding on any lane, because it really affects capacity depending on the day of the week that it ships out there. 700 miles is great for Monday through Wednesday, maybe even a Thursday with a guy who's fresh on hours for next day delivery. But other than that, if this is a Thursday to a Monday or a Friday to Monday, it's going to be exponentially more expensive to move that stuff out there. So Sonny, you move this lane, as you had mentioned. If you're looking at this, the trend line down here, how accurate is this when it comes to when the spike actually happens throughout the year?
It's pretty accurate. I'd say currently it's probably a little higher than what they have on there. Summertime, when freight's heavy out of California going into that area, rates obviously go up because there's nothing coming out of that area. Those who have lanes and customers, year-round customers out of Idaho or Utah, or carriers that are willing to bounce to another state or deadhead a few hundred miles to pick up loads, don't have problems. But that lane, that's pretty correct. It may be off by a few dollars, but it's pretty correct.
Are you, so like I'm looking at this, how are you going with your customers? I mean, specifically on this lane, like you were mentioning there, with the current environment, right? Like fuel in the state of California. I mean, how much did it jump? Was it $2-3 a gallon is what I saw?
$3, and I say $3.10.
$3.10 a gallon. So it's like
it jumped $3.10 a gallon.
Yeah. How are you going to your customers about this to try and factor in additional fuel prices on there? Because again, I look at it is, you know, there's always somebody who's going to say that they can do it for less right now, especially when there's an increase in rates and people are like, hey, I need more money, like fuel, everything, all of that stuff. How are you, you know, and you were alluding to that a little bit earlier, Sonny. So how are you bringing that to your customers' table here, specifically for this lane?
So a lot of our customers obviously have, I mean, one of my major customers has their own fleet also for their local stuff. The customer, okay, all customers know they all know what's going on. Everybody's approaching them. Everybody's asking for more money. There's multiple factors in it. Fuel's not just one factor, especially out of California. The licenses that have been canceled, so on and so forth. Drivers and carriers are standing fast on, hey, we're done losing. You just got to be willing to have an open conversation with your customer and say, hey, I'll lose a little bit once in a while, but I can't lose every day.
Yeah.
Depending on how many, or every week, like depending on how much volume you have. But you cannot be greedy. Currently in our industry, as a broker, we all have to understand we can't be greedy. If there's certain line items or certain surcharges that are a pass-through. Fuel surcharge is a pass-through.
Yeah.
That is probably the best way to sell it right now.
Yeah.
Because legally, that money is going directly to the customer or to the carrier, and the carrier's happy. You have conversations with your carriers and say, hey, we can get this approved, or we can work something out, but it's going to fluctuate.
Mm-hmm.
It's not that you're going to, if your customer is saying, no, we're going to give you a flat rate, we're not going to do the national average, or we're not going to do a percentage, here's the flat rate currently. Everybody has to understand that will fluctuate. I have my prediction is, and a lot of my carriers are feeling the same way, that it's not done going up.
Yeah.
Fuel's it hasn't topped out yet.
I'm ready.
Obviously, you have to be on top of that so you can continue to have conversations with your customers, your carriers, and your internal teams to say, hey, okay, we got to start making adjustments. We got to do this. We got to do that.
Yeah.
We can't just keep chasing cheap freight and hurting the carrier and hurting ourselves.
At what point in this trend line, Sonny, are you going to your customer? Like I look at it where I think some people they're either too quick to raise rates, or they're just too slow to drop them. I think, like, I personally look at it as a science, right? And especially as you're going on, science might be an overstatement, but you get what I'm saying here.
Yeah.
Like, to me, the markets perform almost identical every single year, right? Like, there's peak seasons, there's slow seasons, and everything else. So it's like, unless you have a contracted rate with your customer, I almost want to approach them and just to be like, essentially break it up into, like, just based on this lane alone, 2 parts of the year where I'm like, hey, May through September, here's going to be our price. All right. That's seemingly peak season on this lane. When it drops back down, I'm going to let them know mid-September, hey, starting next month, based on the seasonality of this lane and the receipt, because then again, you're going to start to see an increase out of Idaho during that time because potatoes and onions start cooking. And so again, it's like you can go in there and adjust your prices accordingly to capture that volume, because I think from my perspective, you need to focus on how much, like, the amount of volume that you're moving out there, because that's like really where you're going to make your money as a broker, unless you're in the uber specialized world where you're moving 2 loads a month and it takes 10 days each to move those loads, right? Like, outside of that, as a broker, your standard legal loads, you're going to make it in volume. So it's like, how you capture that volume comes with your competitors' failure or inability to adjust their prices. They want to hold out and make as much money for as long as possible, where it's like, my personal philosophy, I want to be the last one to raise my price, but I want to be the first one to drop it, because I want to capture all of that volume. I want everybody else to hold out and raise it a little bit, sooner than me.
So here's the other thing. Okay, we're talking about fuel. We're talking about rates. There's one more thing that no one ever looks at, and I've had also had that conversation with customers. Cargo value. In the refrigerated world, well, in actually every world of our industry, cargo values are going up. It's very, very rare, unless you're hauling basic produce, that a load is worth $100,000.
Yeah.
So everybody's having to buy trip insurance or some sort of supplemental insurance. That cost has to be equated into your cost also.
Yeah.
So margins, yes. Sometimes, everybody likes to make their 10, 15%. Sometimes you may make 1% to keep the loads going because you're on a contracted lane. You make 2%, you may lose 5%. That's internally, but yes, you're right. Everything in the reefer world, everything revolves around the produce season.
Yeah.
And when it evolves, that's where your customers are going to understand why your rates are that high. And that's kind of also why I personally think fuel's not going to come down until later on in the year, because produce season, the entire economy is going to run on that, especially in the state of California.
Yeah.
Florida might be the same also. it's going to go up. Are you willing to have? Are you scared to have a conversation? That's what you have to look in the mirror and ask yourself. Because if you're scared to have a conversation with your customer, then what kind of relationship do you have with your customer?
Yeah.
Do you have? Are you just a number for them, and are they just a number in your system for your company, or do you actually have a relationship with people in your within your network?
No, I agree with that, man. And this one, and I would advise this on any lane that you're moving out of the state of California, regardless of the mode here, you guys, their fuel prices are always $2 to sometimes $3 more a gallon than the rest of the country. And especially in volatile times right now with everything that's going on, every single lane that I would be moving in and out of the state of California, I would be paying attention to that. And I would be talking to my customer about temporary rate increases and maybe go a little bit earlier in the seasonality of this one, especially when it is peak produce season out here this year in the state of California. It could get wild, right? And there's those alternative factors that I pay attention to more than probably anything out there, because that is because like at the end of the day, we need trucks to show up, you guys, in its simplest form. We need trucks to show up to the shippers to deliver this freight. All right. Plain and simple. And if you can simplify it like that and then take that into the seasonality of it, and you can talk to your customers about those external factors that could affect their price, you're going to have a winning pricing strategy going into any season in regards to your guys' customers out there. So that lane, you guys, Fresno, California, Boise, Idaho, Sonny runs it. He told you everything you need to know going into this year. So that's This Week in Freight, powered by DAT, you guys, for our reefer lane analysis. And again, if you want it broken down, you want your lane, email my team, podcast@thefreightcoach.com. So, Sonny, how are you going to be approaching now throughout the year with everything? Because I think, the state of California, I think, has almost got a double whammy going on because of their almost refusal to address a lot of the, DOT's CDL requirements that are going on out there. And I think that the state of California could get pretty interesting here. I don't want to go as far as saying it's going to happen, but they're doing everything in their power to not listen to what the DOT is saying right now.
It's going to take some drastic changes. It's going to get worse before it gets better.
Yeah.
I feel I was speaking to a carrier of mine this morning, and I asked him, I said, well, how's things going with the drivers out there? And he literally said, he goes, Sonny, on your way to the office tomorrow, just take a look at the DMV. And I drive by one every day, and it was 6:30 in the morning. There was probably 300 people standing out there.
Dang.
They're fighting. Drivers are fighting, trying to keep or figure out what they need to do. The state is not complying. As you can see on social media, read articles that everybody's put out. It kind of goes both ways. That both sides kind of, mind my language, fucked up.
Yeah.
California didn't answer the Supreme Court in time, which is public knowledge, and that's what forced the FMCSA and the DOT to do what they did instead of giving them another opportunity. So now it's a battle. There are a lot of trucks sitting in the state. There's no drivers, and it's come across. I mean, yes, and I will say it's a safety hazard. I'm not going to say that both parties are right or wrong.
Yeah.
Everybody needs to eat. Everybody needs to be able to provide for their families. It could have been dealt with a different way. The state could have dealt with it a different way, or at least had more open conversations. Just like we do as brokers, we have conversations with our customers. Let's go back to it. I have conversations with my customers, if not weekly, every other week, every 15 days. Well, they need to do that too. Drivers are raising rates because currently the market, everybody knows, well, there's no drivers out there. Secondly, produce season's about to start. If it already, well, it's kind of already kicking off a little bit. But nothing's gonna. It's gonna be a long time before this date changes. It's gonna take some drastic changes. The price hike, the fuel price went through the roof. Obviously, we were taxed with another fuel tax that Monday. That's when it went through the roof. That nobody voted on.
Yeah.
But a lot of stuff has to change. A lot of companies are leaving California, unfortunately. But it also goes back down to the companies that are leaving California don't understand they still got to pay the state of California. And if you're a business that's planning on leaving the state of California, I would talk to a lawyer and find out what the aftermath on your taxes is going to be for how long that you have to pay the state. Goes with any business. Truckers are leaving, companies are leaving, registrations are through the roof. Insurance is so hard to get in California. We're in the middle of a renewal, and I know Cam and I, our mutual friend, are talking almost every day, trying to get that taken care of. There's a lot of shady stuff going on out here.
So this? I was going to say, does the CDL thing? Does this affect any driver who's, even if they're based in, say, Tennessee, but they're delivering freight out to California? Does this affect them at all, or is this specific CDLs issued in the state of California only?
Everything that I've heard and everyone I've talked to has said that they're not discriminating against where the company's from or where the plate's from. You're getting pulled over and you're getting checked.
Yeah.
If nothing's wrong, and you know there's nothing wrong, you have a candid conversation. They do whatever they need to do, and you go on and move on.
Yeah.
There are certain state driver's licenses that are being targeted. Obviously, when they see a DOT number related to those certain states, then they're going to get pulled over a little bit more and put under a magnifying glass a little bit more than others.
Yeah.
But everybody's getting pulled over.
What is your honest assessment? Because this is one of those situations where it's kind of like an anomaly, right? Where, I mean, at what point in your career do you remember all of this stuff hitting at the exact same time in the state of California? And I use the state of California because it's no surprise to anybody who, has half a brain. It's the fourth largest economy in the world, right? There is a lot of stuff that starts and stops in the state of California. And it's not no offense to Kansas, but it's not like it's rural Kansas we're talking about here. Yeah. There is a lot of stuff that happens in this state. This could have a massive ripple effect across the country in regards to capacity and drivers even willing to go out into that area. It's again, you look at fuel prices alone, and it's always, I always laugh every time I see a broker try and do fuel math on social media about, they should only be charging X, blah, 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 blah. I look at it as these are very real issues that a lot of people on the West Coast are going to be faced with. It's not just the state of California that it affects. You can throw Oregon, Washington, Nevada, Arizona, and probably Idaho in on that.
The state of California pretty much spearheads a lot of change that happens in any industry.
Yeah.
You go back to the death and all of that. That was it was started in California and implemented across the industry, across the world, or across the U.S. and Canada. And it just, people are going to get fed up to a point where I think years ago, I know a lot of customers had conversations about cross-docking or switching trailers at the line because people don't want to come into California. You don't want to pay the fuel tax, the cost of fuel here. No one wants to pay $6-7. I've seen LA, SoCal, probably $8.
Yeah.
I know we're here in Fresno is above $6. I can only imagine what Fresno is, or sorry, LA is.
Yeah.
Oregon's up there too. I have my drivers that run to Oregon every week. They're like, Oregon's up there. Oregon follows suit with California. Washington's not far behind. I don't know what it is in Arizona.
It's like $5. Arizona, I think when I just got filled up this last weekend, I think diesel was at like $4.90 a gallon out here. But I mean, still astronomically high, right? Like I'm not trying to, but you know, that's the thing though, is I look at it, you know, again, and it's kind of the topic of our conversation. Like this is how you be that stickiness factor with customers that a lot of people overlook, right? Like a lot of people want to essentially base their entire relationship with the customer on their ability to pick up freight, right? And again, obviously it's valuable, but I look at it it's situations like this, especially if you're moving freight in and out of the Southwest region or on the West Coast. I think it could, you know, at least dry van and reefer, it could get pretty dicey here capacity wise coming up this year. It really could. And I look at it is like, when it comes down to like, you know, you were talking about earlier about, you know, raising your rates with your customers, and inevitably they're going to push back right away. Everybody does. But I would rather lose freight in the short term and keep like if I'm going in there, say we're, you know, easy conversation, easy math. We were moving a lane for $2,000 for them. This fuel spike increase happened. We now need $2,400 to move this load. I would rather lose it in the short term and make sure that rate is the rate than continue to operate at a loss or try and go up only $200. Yep. And then that $200 gets burnt through in a couple of weeks. And then you got to go back again, you know, because like with the free market and the open market, there's always going to be somebody who's going to say, oh, I can continue to do it for $2, or I'll only do it for 21. And then service failures start to increase and all of that stuff that comes along with it. And you just want to be known as a subject matter expert. Like, hey, I said 2,400 because that's what we needed. And that's what we needed to service it at the high level that you require.
Yes. Also at the same point, is if you're asking for, let's just say $2,400 and the customer comes back and says, okay, I can do 22. How much are you willing to say to a carrier that's providing you with the service, hey, I'm only going to give you, I'm not willing to give you the additional $200 out of my pocket. Look at your own margins. Mm-hmm. Do you have the additional $200 in your margins to keep the carrier happy and keep your customer happy? Mm-hmm. Because like we said, this fuel spike is not done yet. It's not over. Like I said, I believe it's not over. It's only going to go up a little bit more, or hopefully only a little bit more. But as long as you're communicating with your customers, that fuel surcharge line item, or however your customer wants to word it, will be adjusted to that.
Yeah.
As long as you're willing on your end as a broker to make the adjustment to keep your carrier whole, your service failures are not going to happen, because you're keeping your carrier happy, you're keeping your customer happy. Maybe this is the year that our margins have to go down a little bit compared to years in the past.
I think a lot of brokers are going to be realizing that sooner than later, that it's because it's going to start taking a lot of effort to cover freight. I can tell when certain areas of the country start to tighten up just based on the amount of complaining I see on social media from brokers about how hard it is and shit like that. I personally love those markets. Like, I'm not afraid to make 40, 50 calls to cover a load and lose money on it. Like, I'm not saying that because I love losing money. I'm just saying, like, these brief periods of tightness that you encounter out there when everybody else is giving freight back and you're still honoring your commitments to your customer, that is the separator. All right. There's very few moments throughout the year that you can separate yourself from your competition, because 98% of the freight that moves out there picks up on time and delivers on time. All right. I don't care what anybody says. Like, if you have half of a brain, you figured that out. But when there's these transition markets that happen about spikes in fuel, CDL issues, all of that stuff, when you're out there and you're not giving freight back, And there's, so it's like when you're doing that and you're honoring your commitments, those are those brief windows throughout the year that you separate yourself from your competition, because a lot of people refuse to lose money. The first sign of adversity, they throw their hands up and they quit. If you can just power through, take a couple of break evens, or maybe you're losing $100. And, my methodology is this: nobody complains when they make $400 on a load. So don't complain if you have to lose $400 to service a customer, because you know this just as well as I do, Sonny. Customers don't grow on trees. It's very challenging to develop business in any industry. But when you've got that customer, that you got consistent business coming through them, they don't hire you for when it's easy. They need you for when it's challenging and everybody else is giving up. That's when you separate yourself.
And also, I've always said it. People want to drop loads and drop their contracted rates because they don't want to lose. Guess what? I'm here. I'll get it covered.
Yeah.
I'll lose. And that customer is going to remember, oh, yeah, Sonny helped me out. Maybe we need to give him a little bit more volume, or maybe we need to have some more conversations with him. There's always someone out there that's looking for the opportunity to pick up what you dropped.
Correct. I was going to say, Kara Smith Brown says it best in her book. She says, your best customer is somebody else's top prospect.
Yep.
That
book, everybody in business should read that book.
It's one of two books that I keep on my desk at all times. The Revenue Engine by Kara Smith Brown. I'm probably going to read that again this year. And then Fanatical Prospecting by Jeb Blount. These are the only two business books that I keep on my desk at all times, because I feel these two alone, from a business development perspective, is all you need. It's like $60. It's the best $60 you're going to spend. And I look at it is when you're out there and you actually develop a book of business, not your handed accounts that have been moving freight and, you grow them. And like, I'm talking actual hunted that business. When you've done that, you have such a different approach to your customers than you would if you were just given it, right? And I look at it, again, you founded the business with your wife, Sonny, but it's like you appreciate somebody's trust in you so much more when you developed it from that first cold call, as opposed to if you were just handed a book of business and you didn't have to fight for it, right? Like, I don't know.
You don't have blood, sweat, and tears in it.
Yeah, that's just the way that my brain's wired, right? Like, if I don't have to fight for it, I don't know if I'm going to value it at the same level as what I had to do to like build it up from scratch.
It's like everything else in life.
Yeah.
If everything you have was handed to you, you don't care.
Correct.
And you don't know how to deal with the hard times when they come, because at any point, it's a circle of life. Everybody will go through some sort of hard times in business or in personal life.
I agree.
The number one thing in business is, and I tell people that when I do my consulting thing, is, do you have your finance side in order? Okay, you spent all this money on this TMS and all this other stuff. How are you handling your finances? Are you paying for stuff, your tech stack? Are you using everything in your tech stack?
Mm-hmm.
Or are you paying for stuff that you don't even remember that you signed up for? And that goes into personal life too.
Oh yeah.
It's not just business. I mean, we're here talking about business, but it also evolves into personal life. If business has stressed you out, and I have a rule, and it's kind of hard when the business is in the same household, but we don't, when I get home from the office, we set time aside to have conversations about business, and after that, we don't talk about business.
Yeah.
Yes, my phone rings 24/7, and I will answer it when a customer calls me, because the customer knows if there's an issue, we're going to call Sonny directly. But that's the only way to understand this is what we're going through right now as a broker. How about thinking about what a 1 or 2 or 5 truck owner operator is going through right now as a business owner also.
Mm-hmm.
Their margins are squeezed. Carrier margins have been squeezed for years now.
Yeah, very true.
And you have to understand it's a driver's market right now, and it's business. It just goes. That's the way business is. It's always either a broker's market or a driver's market, and we're in a carrier market right now.
Yeah, I don't know if it's going to go away from that, Sonny, for a while now, but we'll find out. Well, hey man. Oh, go ahead.
It'll take some time, but it'll even out, and that's the hope. That's what I pray for, that it evens out.
Yep.
It should never be one-sided. I've been on every aspect of this industry. It should be an even playing field.
I agree, man. Sonny, thank you so much for your time. That is going to be it for today, ladies and gentlemen. As always, if you got value in what you heard, and I know you did, Sonny just laid out a masterclass for you guys. Just go back, listen to it, subscribe, share it out, you guys, because like this is what we do. We live, eat, and breathe freight on this show, and that's going to be it. But we'll be back tomorrow, as always, and hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Appreciate you guys, love you guys, and we'll be talking to you soon.
Came back with a bang, window down, yelling out money.